As usual, we are ending the week with a expert restaurant roundup. We're going a little deeper, though. I got a man that knows a little bit, just a little, about how to hire for your restaurant. We'll be back in 1 second. Bruce, my man, tell the audience who you are, what you do, and how you do it.
All right, Matt. Well, thanks for having me back. And my name is Bruce Faber. I'm a joint venture partner with EHS Recruiting Company. We are a nationwide executive search firm for the hospitality industry. Everyone keeps asking me, where are you finding people? How can I get people? Where are you getting people? So I'll share a little bit of that with you in this broadcast.
I love it. And it's ironic. I just had an executive who from the restaurant business sitting in my office that is a very qualified restaurant executive candidate and was attracted to my company from what she had seen on LinkedIn over the last couple of years. And, you know, this is a fourth conversation I've had with her. And it's interesting because we don't have a position for her with her skill set, but I'm like, you know, like when I find somebody that's badass at something, I'm thinking, okay, where can I fit them in? So let's start there. The common trend in the restaurant space the past, I'd say 12 to 18 months is nobody wants to work in the restaurant business. Nobody wants to work anymore. And about 4 weeks ago, a guy named Jason Pfeiffer, actually, I've got his book. It just came out the other day. It's called Built for Tomorrow. He's the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine. And he shared a tweet by a guy in the Twitter universe that talks about a lot of unique stuff. And he had shared pictures of like newspaper interview articles and headlines and quotes going back to the 1800s of the exact same comment. Nobody wants to work anymore. And it all coincided with shifts in the economy, different things that happened and industries going away. And, you know, I think one of the biggest shifts that happened in the restaurant space the last 18 to 24 months is that person that was doing that labor, kitchen, busing, hostess, serving, now can do it in a car driving around doing third party. And so, yeah, there are things that were created that stole people from the workforce. But the big thing to me is, you know, I'll tell you a story on me and I'll get your feedback and we'll go into this, is that 5 years ago, I remember making a job post thinking, hey, we got a really cool company here. We're doing some unique stuff. I made a job post and I thought I'll have people on LinkedIn or Facebook will fill these 2 jobs. Nobody called. Nobody commented. Nobody shared. And I was like ghost town. I'm like, man, this must suck here. And flash forward to today, I made that same post a few weeks back and I've made it a bunch since then, but I made it like 3 weeks ago as of now. And I had 54 people apply.
Nice.
And what I found was that, and it's happened full force my entire company, what I found is that my business, the appearance of it has taken on a different look the last 3 to 5 years than it did before. I don't just, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, it was just the Matt Plapp show, how great we were, how awesome our company was. Just like a restaurant. If you look at any restaurant, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, it's the them show. Come eat, drink, and have fun with us. There's nothing about the culture, nothing about the business's attitude. And ours has changed. You know, we had a great event this past week. I needed to take 6 people to Buffalo, New York for the Wing Fest. I took 17 because there was 11 people that needed to go. Didn't need to be there, but I thought they earned it. And so people see that online and are like, I want to be a part of that. So talk about how important that is when people that are out there, because people want to work still, right? I mean, I'm not wrong there, right?
They want to work. So it really starts with marketing, the culture of your company, who you are as the leader, something about yourself, telling a story and creating that difference. Because right now, first of all, people do want to work. So if they go to Indeed or ZipRecruiter or Glassdoor, there's hundreds of companies just in the hospitality space advertising. You know, Google restaurant manager, and they're all going to pop up. So if I'm a restaurant manager and I'm looking at, 100 potential companies, which one am I going to apply with? Maybe I've been there, maybe I like them, maybe I don't. But the key is in writing that ad, the very first line, not just restaurant manager wanted in Chicago. Hot opportunity, growth concept, great culture. That should be in the first line of your ad, because when you're looking, restaurant manager, they all look the same.
Yep.
But if there's something that pop, top pay, sign-on bonus, that's where the eyes are going to go of the potential candidate, and they're going to go to you first, whether they know your company or not. Then within that ad, talk about your company, talk about your story. 5 restaurants, opening up 3 more, adding to our team for growth. That's exciting. Nobody wants to join a company that's going to be closing 3 restaurants and you don't even know it, and you get on board. Next thing you know, you're out of work in 2 months. So the key in writing those ads is really to tell those stories, because people do want to work, but they're very selective and they want to work just for great companies. And nobody wakes up and says, I just need a job, I just want to take one. No, the candidates now are very selective. They're very picky. They want everything. They want good pay. They want a good company. They want a good culture. They want to be listened to. But before they do any of that, you have to write that great ad and have them apply to your ad. And then you have to respond right away. Key is responding right away too.
I just talked to a software company this morning. I don't know if you've heard about it. I don't want to butcher their name. I'm looking at my calendar real quick. Staffed Up, staffedup.com. Billy's his name. And he's a restaurant owner in Missouri and started Staffed Up as a secondary business and used it a lot. But it's a cool product. It's basically a CRM for now hiring. Nice. That you use to drive your traffic to for your jobs. And when people apply, they create a profile in there. And what's unique about it is those people can also see other jobs in the area for restaurants using the same platform. But it has all these ways that you as an interviewee, as the interviewer, the company can star. Oh, this is a 4-star candidate. This is a 3-star. This is this department. You can really have a whole thing there to where as jobs open and people have come into your world in the past, you can re-announce it to them. But I told him the same. I told him, and I'll tell you the same thing. I said, I think what you've built is a Lamborghini. The product you have is a Lamborghini when it comes to, helping you analyze and systematically talk to people that apply. I said, but you know what all Lamborghinis need? They need gas. I said, so if you don't have traffic coming to that great CRM, what does it matter? Like for me, like what you mentioned is there's people out there looking, right? And they're looking on Indeed, they're seeing places. But here's where I think the businesses are missing it. They're only paying attention to Indeed. They're not paying attention to their Facebook feed, to where if I guarantee if you were to tell me your top 5 restaurants in your whole area, and I went to those places, the places you love eating, their entire news feed on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if they're even on TikTok, is going to be them puking on their customers about how the restaurant has everything you need for eating and drinking. When in fact, it needs to have things mixed into there. And I'm not saying that we're right, but one thing we've done differently is that, and granted, I'm not a restaurant, but I think it's the same anywhere. Every business has its struggles and it's good. But like the lady who came in today, I said, how'd you hear about us? She's like, I've been watching for 2 years on LinkedIn. Now, if my LinkedIn sucked, if my LinkedIn wasn't interviewing awesome rock stars like Bruce Faber, and it was just the Matt Plapp show talking about how great Matt Plapp is, then nobody would tune in. But you go to like my Facebook, and like one thing we rolled out recently, like I've been using more of my employees in the podcast. We started doing a feature called "What the Hell Do You Do Here?" We have our ping pong tournament. We have a Facebook post right now. It was us on you ever been to Niagara Falls, Bruce?
I have.
So that Maid of the Mist, the boat that goes up to the waterfalls.
Yes, went on it too.
We went on that, and we made one of my employees made a funny little video to put on Facebook. It was up to 500,000 views this morning over the last 3 days.
Wow. And
that's a video that's, it went viral because he did some hashtag magic on it and it went out there. But for me, that video also, I want that stuff there so that when people see that I'm hiring somewhere and they go to see who the hell Matt Plapp or America's Best Restaurants is, they see that stuff, not just the boring work stuff. And I think the restaurants fail there. Do you agree, disagree, or what are your thoughts?
I agree 100%. And, you look at Instagram and, Facebook, as you mentioned, these are great ways to not only promote your business, bring in customers, but potential employees. When people look and say, wow, that food looks great, or that experience looks great, or, oh my God, look at that beautiful restaurant, or they're opening up a new restaurant. It's free marketing. And employees want to work for the companies that are growing, the ones that are doing well. A lot of the small businesses don't have maybe as much of the resources to be able to do that. But, here in Chicago, a lot of our clients, big ones, and they're constantly promoting. And even, top of mind, I'm looking for a job now, or maybe I had a bad weekend. I'm looking to leave my current employer. I'm always seeing on LinkedIn, this company, or I'm always seeing on Facebook that company, and they're top of mind. And whether it's a favorite restaurant, they're close by, new openings, it's a reason they're going to go. So that marketing piece is huge. And in addition, that relationship, because you're building that relationship with, at that point, a customer. And then at some point, they may become an employee.
Yep.
And, they're going to go to their favorite brand. I mean, wouldn't you rather work at your favorite restaurant versus just a restaurant?
Yeah,
of course.
Have you ever heard of the no and no funnel? No, it's funny. So, and maybe I created it. I don't know. I've used it for a long time. I'm guessing I probably picked it up since I don't think I'm this damn smart, but I created a funnel and I called it the no and no. They must know you, and they've had to have told you no at some point, whether they told you that or they just didn't apply. And this can go for sales. This can go for, hiring. I tell our sales guys this. I go back to my success in radio advertising back in the late 90s, and that, companies would come out on January 1st and they'd say, hey, we're the Ohio Lottery and we're going to buy advertising in January, February, and March. Here's the quote. Here's your submission. Give us, they called it a RFP, request for proposal. Here's your RFP. Give us a quote for first quarter. And what would happen is every radio station would take it and submit, and 20 would submit and 5 would get bought. Well, then everybody would wait until April 1st for the next one. And then they wouldn't get bought. And they'd wait till July 1st. And they just kept going. Well, my dad taught me to sell between the sell. He's like, you need to have lots of people in your no and no funnel, people that have told you no and people that know you. And if you wait every time the Ohio Lottery's putting a submission out and there's 3 months in between, you're a ghost, you're not going to be top of mind when it comes time to buy. And so I'll never forget the Ohio Lottery was actually a client of ours in the 8th. That was somebody at the radio station that had never gotten business at our station, which made no sense because I was an oldie station. And I got to know the lady. I actually told her, hey, Michelle was name. I'm going to be in Cleveland in the next couple of weeks for another meeting. I want to stop by and say hi. Okay, cool. And I didn't get bought. Well, hint, I wasn't going to be in Cleveland. I only went to Cleveland to see her. I didn't want her to know that, but she wouldn't take the meeting because it would probably been weird. But I'm like, hey, I'm going to be there to say hi. So I went to Cleveland, had lunch with her, got to know her, found out that her husband was from Cincinnati, Ohio, found out that she loved Graeter's ice cream, and she found she loved the specific flavor of Graeter's ice cream that came out in the summer, which coincided with another time I found out her birthday. So started building a relationship. Well, guess whose client Graeter's ice cream was? Which, have you ever had Graeter's, by the way?
No, haven't even heard of it.
Cincinnati brand. It's freaking amazing.
Hmm.
And so, do you like ice cream?
I love ice cream. Okay,
well, you need to send me your address, and we'll send you some ice cream. It's amazing. Tell me your flavors. So I call up Graeter's. They were a client of mine, and her birthday was the month before this flavor came out. They have a seasonal flavor every month. And the guy's like, yeah, it's available. We'll get you some. So I got it, overnighted it to her. She calls me up. She's like, what is this? I'm like, what? It's your birthday gift. She's like, number one, how'd you know it's my birthday? Number two, why did you send this flavor of Graeter's, which isn't out yet? And I'm like, well, I have strings there. And I got connections, and that's your favorite flavor. And it blew her away.
Right.
Well, I tell you all this story because through that time, I was getting to know her, build a relationship, and be deeper in her no and no funnel. Well, I'll never forget that the third time that year came out for Ohio Lottery to put an RFP out, we had a rule within our radio station walls that when an RFP came out, you had to put it to where we had 4 stations, put it on the radar, because we had a couple of stations that didn't get the RFPs, and Mike Frederick was our boss, wanted us all to submit on it as a team so we could get more business. Mm-hmm. And she sends me the order. And she goes, hey, by the way, the RFP comes out tomorrow. Here's your order. You're good. Like $40,000. Big order for me in the radio world. I'm like, hell yes. I get it. Put it in the system. Mike calls me. He's like, Maddie, man, what's going on? Why aren't you following the protocol and putting this on the radar? He had some weird word for it. I said, well, the RFP comes out tomorrow. She already sent me the order ahead of time. And he's like, I've never heard of this. Like, it was like, you're kidding me. Well, I say all that because I think that's what happens now with Facebook. That's the opportunity with Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube and TikTok, is that you've got customers. Like, I bet you're like these restaurants that you're filling jobs for, they have people walking in there to eat all the time, spouses of people coming in, friends that come in for the first time that would love to be a part of that brand, but they haven't been nurtured correctly. And my big argument with restaurant brands specifically is you've got people's attention on this device, but you suck using these free tools. Mm-hmm. Like, I went to Papa John's. You know Papa John's Pizza, right?
Sure. Yep.
I love picking on them. So their Facebook page, last time I looked the other day, was 6.7 million fans, and their average Facebook post got 200 engagements. 6.7 million, not like 6.7 million, and they got 200, like literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 200 people. And what's happened is the algorithm has squashed them completely. Their fan base doesn't follow them on social media because they suck. They've turned Facebook into they've just repurposed their TV advertising instead of getting people to engage. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? Who's going to win the Super Bowl this year? Who's going to win last night's game? The Bills or the Rams? There's a lot of things you can do on social media that don't have to sell pizza all the time. And I'm a strong proponent that is also, as a restaurant, your opportunity to showcase your culture and get those raving fans saying, man, when something opens up there that's in my wheelhouse, I'm going to take it. And so then all of a sudden they're following the brand, they're engaged, they're having fun. And that Indeed post that you're talking about that's written really well gets popped up and they go, this is my thing right here. Yeah. And that's a person that wasn't in the market to look for a job, which a lot of times for me are the best people. When somebody's looking, sometimes there's a problem. When you get people that aren't looking, it's like, this is a great opportunity.
Well, exactly. And even on that, I'll segue. As a recruiter, obviously we're working with candidates that are in our database. So when one of our clients calls up and says, I took a job order today for a culinary director here in Chicago. And, they've been advertising, trying to find people. And basically when you run an ad on Indeed, you're getting the unemployed, about to be unemployed, or should be unemployed. Maybe you'll get that diamond, that needle in the haystack. So that's the advantage of working with a recruiter, because in our company, we have a database of over 200,000 people. So I can put in the keywords. I can reach out to people I've worked with in the past, people that are working right now. They're not on Indeed. They're not looking on LinkedIn. They're not on Facebook. They're not looking for a job. Yeah. If this is an opportunity where, they could get the next step in their career and I call, they're going to listen. And that's really one of the advantages there. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, Matt, is the process. Interview process. So prior to the pandemic, we had clients that would take 30 to 60 days to hire. 7, 8, 9, 10 interviews. I'm talking for a restaurant manager.
That's brutal.
I mean, how do you not know after the first interview or two? Yeah. No, I get, some companies, you have to meet certain people and through corporate, so on and so forth. Now, post-pandemic, I mean, they're not going to last that long. And as I talked earlier, even if they see an ad on Indeed, and they might be in our database, we reach out to them. They're in our database. We worked with them in the past. They're looking on Indeed. They see 100 jobs. They're going to get hired within that first week. So one of the things that I advise all my clients, and even if they're not working with me, shorten the process. Okay. A lot of companies used to do assessments. I don't know if those are effective anymore. A lot of companies would put them through 6, 7, 8 interviews. Do you really need to do that? A lot of companies would do a phone interview. Then let's do an in-person with this person. Then come back another day and do an in-person with this person. Then come back another day and do a taste. And then come back. You're going to lose them. Yeah. You can't shorten that process up. One nice thing about Zoom is you can have one interview with all the major players, the corporate chef and the general manager and the HR manager. And if you like that person right then and there, bring them in for a shift follow or a tasting and hire them. Yep. Because if you wait, you're going to lose the good ones. And, just make that process. Not saying you have to hire on the spot, but speed it up, because that candidate's not going to last.
I love it. That's gold. I've heard that. I had a guy that I talked to recently who was telling me, not for us, but just a friend, he's like on his 9th interview. And I'm like, well, are you curing cancer? Like, are you launching rockets? He's like, no, it's a GM position at a restaurant. I'm like, my gosh, like they must be the pickiest people in the world. I mean, like, are they scared to pull the trigger? That just blew me away. But here's something you got to see. Lois and Gordon, Nears Tavern up in New York. I think this October is 194 years in business.
Wow.
194. Said he can't wait to hear this. Looking for a great person to add to my leadership team. Matt, you have the most relevant guest for us restaurant owners to learn from. I would agree. Guys like Bruce are freaking amazing. And I'm fortunate to have him on there. But yeah, Lois, he said, LOL, Lois watching on LinkedIn. Awesome. So my last question for you is talking about those benefits. Mm-hmm. I've kind of approached this a little differently, is that I think that a lot of times we as business owners, and I say we as myself, because I've done this, we get cheap on stuff and we we don't do, I think, what we would want for us. And like a lot of times as entrepreneurs also, we think like, I have to think like everybody doesn't want to hustle like Matt Plapp always does. Like I have a vested interest a little bit in the business. I realize that some of my employees, I would love them to, but some of them aren't going to. The big thing I think there's an opportunity for, have you seen the Blue Ocean, Red Ocean? You know much about that concept?
Mm-mm.
So another book, I keep a couple books on my desk. I like referring to all the time, but it's the Blue Ocean Strategy.
Okay.
And it's a book that in essence talks about that you got red ocean, blue ocean. Red ocean is there's blood in the water. And that's why it's red, because everybody's doing the same shit. Blue ocean is you're on smooth waters. It's crystal clear because there's nobody there fishing with you. And one of the things I've done on our end is we do some weird things. Like my dad thinks I'm on drugs. We have 9 weeks off. You know, we're closed. Now, granted, restaurants can't be as flexible as this part, but because we're not in the restaurant space, we can, but we're closed the week of Thanksgiving. We're closed the week of Christmas. I have found in the business world, it's an absolutely useless week to be open anyways. Right. And me as an entrepreneur, like if my mind is straying on that week, my employees' minds are gone. And like when it's like Tuesday on Thanksgiving week, I'm like just looking for, I'm like in my office, like what game can I create? And so I'm like, you know, we're going to be closed Christmas and Thanksgiving. The other thing I looked at, it's okay, I want people to be able to have fun. Like we work our ass off. Let's have fun with it. So we came up with your normal 2 weeks off. And then we did 5 weeks of mandatory time off so that our employees are forced to actually go have fun. Mm-hmm. And so we have nine weeks off year round. And then we have a 3-day weekend every month. It's like my dad one time joked when I announced, he's like, when do people work? And I'm like, you know, I look at it is that it's a hustle to get top-notch talent. And so if it's a matter of me giving somebody 4 extra weeks of vacation, I mean, if you look at the average pay at some companies, let's say $700 to $1,500 a week. I mean, it seems like a lot of money, but in reality, it's not. If you got $1 million restaurant and it costs you $5,000 in vacation to get a GM that somebody's going to lose because you're going to give them 5 weeks off.
Right.
Why wouldn't you rather have the better person? I mean, what about benefits, perks? What are you seeing that people aren't doing? Do you know anybody that has 9 weeks off?
Not in operations. As recruiters, we certainly can take as much time off as we want, not in operations. But you're absolutely right. So first of all, let's start at the top on benefits. Right now, post-pandemic, pay your people. With the lack of quality candidates out there, I've seen salaries go up seriously 20 to 25%. I'm placing sous chefs right now at $80,000 to $85,000 a year. Pre-pandemic, that was a $55,000, $60,000 a year job. Executive chefs at $100,000, $110,000. General managers, $110,000 to $120,000. And these are single unit operations. So pay your people, because also if you're paying them those old rates right now and a recruiter like myself calls, it's going to be real easy to poach them because the salary is not current with the current market. So take care of your people. Take care of the ones that have been with you for a while, bump their salary up, and certainly the ones that you're bringing on board, because if you don't, someone else will.
Now
let's talk about the benefits.
How do you think about benefits? How much can salary be offset by benefits? If somebody's like, hey, I'm at 90 grand, I can go to 110, but I lose XYZ benefits.
Yeah. I mean, you know, salary pays the bills. Okay. Benefits don't. But post-pandemic now, people are looking for more and more vacation time, health insurance. You know, a lot of independent restaurants have a hard time providing that, and people want it. You know, they want the dental, they want the 401k, they want that PTO. And restaurants, you don't have as much flexibility. So a lot of my clients are doing now is they're actually, some of them are going to 4-day work weeks, so you can get those 3 days off in a row. A lot of them are going to hourly management positions because not everybody wants to work 60, 70 hours. And if you pay them well, they could make a decent living working a 40-hour work week. If they have to work that 5 extra hours, they're getting the overtime. But this way, it gives them a lot of flexibility as far as off time, you know, time to go travel, have fun, whatever they're doing. But you mentioned earlier, creating that culture of fun, reward, have a lot of things. It's not just the, you know, who sold the most key lime pies tonight. That's just a contest. Everybody does that. But creating that culture and offering items and different incentives that make it fun. And I'm going to show you a little example here. This is something we do in our company. This is just $1 million bill. But this is something that we use, not real, unfortunately. I tried to cash at the bank.
I was trying to grab it. I'm like, give me the $1 million bill.
But we use this to recognize all of our recruiters for different things that they do. So when they get a placement, or if they get a Google review, or if it's just their anniversary or birthday, we're going to send them these, and each of our market partners can do it. And then twice a year, we do this lottery and auction where you can actually bid on different items through corporate and through your individual offices. And, that's a kind of fun thing. And even, sometimes when one of our recruiters will get a couple $1 million with a little thank you unexpectedly, you can't put a price tag on that. Yes, we do a lot of parties. We do events, get your team together, take them to outings. And these are things that all restaurants can do too, because separate from just the work. And, Rick Bayless, he closes his restaurants in Chicago for 2 weeks, and he takes his entire team down to Mexico, all paid for. Damn, that's great.
Let's go.
Vacation time, right? But those are the kind of things that, offer something that your competition's not offering. Do something that's fun, constant reward, recognition. And the other piece is listen to your team. See what they want to do, because, you and I might be thinking as owners, oh, this is great. And your team's like, that really isn't great. So listen to what they have to say. Be open. And you can't do everything for everyone. But if you invest in your people, not just from the salary, but in the benefits, the programs that you have, the rewards, they're going to be happy and they're going to talk about it. And you talk about, the raving fan, which is a customer book from Ken Blanchard, but you want your employees to be raving fans too, to love your company. And then this way, when you're hiring, instead of paying a recruiter, and I shouldn't really saying this, you can say, hey, listen, we'll give you an internal referral bonus of, $2,000 for any successful hire. And I already love the company I'm working with. I'm going to call my best friends and have them come work with me. I'm going to get $2,000, and that company saves the money on the recruiter. And next thing you know, you have another raving fan on your team, and you'll retain them.
And I love that you said that, because that's one thing that gets overlooked a lot, that if you don't have a great place, if you don't have fun, if you don't take care of your people, if you don't have a badass culture, and that person's got a roommate or a spouse or a friend, and they're like, they go home like, oh, I'm so tired. This place sucks. Like, they ain't referring you. But if they go home and this place is awesome, we actually had an employee recently, and this, you can't make this stuff up. It was comical. Did a contest on wanting to know the favorite platform on social media. And I did a contest. It was $100. Drop below your favorite platform you like to you use that you would see restaurants on. And when I went to film the video to give the $100 away, like 2 weeks later, I had $200 bills. I'm going to give $200 bills away. So I drew 2 names. And one of them was a guy named Trevor Jones. And I chose Trevor Jones and jokingly said Mike Jones. And then, we played the little rap video, Mike Jones. Well, a week later, like that was that film was filmed on a Friday. A week later, we posted it on a Thursday. Well, the Wednesday before that, and this is already filmed, Wednesday before that, we had a sales guy quit, left our company, and just didn't fit the culture. It wasn't a good thing for him. He wanted to go do something a little slower speed. You got Matt Plapp running and gunning over here. Sometimes it's a little pressure. But one of our employees said, hey, man, I got a guy that's willing to drive 3 hours from his hometown. He can live with me if he comes up, but he's been following you online. He wants to be a part of the team. He heard we had an opening. He's here. And he had also heard from Austin how great everything was, and Austin loves it. So this guy wanted to be a part of it. Like, tell him to drive up. He drove up Wednesday night, Thursday morning, sits down in my office. I interview him. The guy's awesome. Hire him. Here's how I am with hiring. Like, I don't do resumes in that instance. He's referred from one of my employees. I talked to him. It's an entry-level position. We train him. It actually it's better on us to have people that don't have different experience, because I can mold them. I didn't even ask his name. And so, like, he starts. And 11:30, like 2 hours later, we're having our sales meeting out here in our main area. There's like 12 people on the call, 8 in person, 4 or 5 on Zoom. And I'm like, hey, I want to introduce you to a new guy. I'm like, shit, what's your name? And he goes, they're all laughing because they know how I am. And he's like, it's Trevor. I'm like, okay. And introduce him. Here's Trevor. It's Trevor Jones, blah, blah, blah. Later that night, we post the video on TikTok and Instagram, the winners. Well, he was one of the winners from the prior week that I had no clue. I didn't even know who he was. And so he texted me, hey, thanks for the $100. And I'm like, what are you talking about? From Instagram. I'm like, oh my, that's you? And he's like, yeah. The more ironic thing is his dad's name is Mike Jones. But I tell you that story because he was following our brand on social. He had heard one of his friends, Austin, constantly in his ear about if an opportunity comes up at our company, you got to jump on it. And he followed me and engaged to a point where he won a contest on accident. And then he ends up getting hired. And I think that's a key element that people don't see that is huge, that it's out there that you got to take advantage of.
Yeah, agree.
Well, cool, man. I enjoyed our conversation today. I really loved it. And this is the best place. I know you on LinkedIn. They can find you on LinkedIn. That's in here as well. But EHSRecruitingCompany.com. My man, Bruce Faber. Bruce, anything planned for the weekend?
Always having fun. Just going to go out and enjoy Chicago while the weather's still warm here.
Chicago. And I saw the Bears are moving. I saw the proposed stadium the other day.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, but we'll see.
Cool. Well, hey, have a great weekend. Thanks for being on. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.